Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks a lot, Jess, and thank you for tuning into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh. I'll be joined by Chris Mueller in a matter of moments at the 93.7 The Fan Cam. And there he is, and it was a big day today. It's something that you and I have been talking about on this show pretty much every Thursday since the end of the season. What are they going to do with T.J. Watt? He finally gets the extension. The one thing that I think that you and I talked about a few weeks ago where we were wrong, we thought that Watt wouldn't sign a deal unless he got more guaranteed money than Myles Garrett, which was, what, $123.5? He still did pretty well. Signing that extension worth $123 million. $108 is guaranteed, but that extension is worth $41 million per year. So he does become, what, the highest paid defensive player, the highest paid non-quarterback with this contract for the second time in his career.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he got the Steelers to cave to him. I don't think he had a ton of leverage coming off of a season that statistically was his least impressive since his rookie year. And even if one of the explanations people would like to float for that is that maybe he was more dinged up than we've led to believe, Rich, that would be him being dinged up last year in 2022, missing a good chunk of the season. And so he's going into a year where he'll turn 31 in October, and the Steelers are showing a lot of faith that a player who might be on the decline, if you're looking at the numbers, is actually going to have some of the best football of his career ahead of him. Otherwise, they're paying him $41 million a year and $108 million guaranteed, and guaranteeing functionally from their perspective 3 years of this deal, which is pretty unprecedented for a non-quarterback. They're doing it on what he has been and not what he will be. So I think the clear winner here is T.J. Watt. A lot of people want to say that the winner is both sides, that he'll come to camp happy, and they're going to move him around this year, so they needed him in camp to be in all these different spots in the field. I think the player won here, and I don't begrudge any player getting every dime that they can while they can get it, but I just think that this is not so good business for the Steelers.
I think the winner is both sides, Chris, because I know and I heard that Watt wanted 5 years. Well, he got 3 years, and I understand it's 4 if you count this year. But they can get out of this contract after 3 years where he would be 33. And, yeah, they're paying $35 million per. But still, I mean, that's kind of the going rate for an outside linebacker, especially for a guy like T.J. Watt.
I still, from his perspective, it's $41 million a year on the new part of the deal, on the extension. And I would surmise that he is not going to ultimately be a $41 million a year player. I guess to feel like this is a really good deal for the Steelers, like this was good business, that I'm way off base, you have to believe on some level that T.J. Watt's best football is still ahead of him. And I don't believe that that is the case because he is more of a speed rusher. He's a first step guy. And I think it's harder for that style of player, coming off the edge in particular, to maintain a high level of production into their 30s because I just think speed goes before sort of raw power. That's not to say that he's not a powerful guy, but he's not like a Julius Peppers or even a Myles Garrett. He's definitely more predicated on speed and quick twitch off the line, and I think that can sometimes be the first thing to go.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I think 33 might be his limit, especially because of age. This back half of the contract is what worries me a little bit, but they can kind of get away from that. So let me ask you this then. What kind of stats does he have to put up this year? Do you think it's worth it, that this contract was worth it for him? Or worth it for the Steelers? Maybe put it to you that way.
He's happy, so it's worth it for him no matter what he does. That $108 million guaranteed when the ink hits paper means it's worth it for him. That's the closest thing a non-quarterback will get to like a baseball or a guaranteed contract sport kind of deal. And this is the second time he's cashing in. I don't know, average 15 sacks a year for the next 3 years at least. I mean, he came from 19 down to 11.5. He's set a pretty lofty standard. My question back to you, I'm giving 15, maybe 16, and just massive impacts all the time, him coming from different spots in the field and being a problem and not just a guy who lines up against right tackles. That would be another thing I'd like to see. Here's kind of one for you, Rich. Do you think his best football is ahead of him?
No, I don't. I think it was a couple years ago. But I do think that he's going to be he's a disruptor, and maybe the biggest disruptor on the defensive side of the ball in the NFL.
I don't agree with that.
I think he can change games by just being out there. The tackles for loss, the pressure, the quarterback's hits. It's not so much about sacks. And I think the Steelers' defense needs a guy like him to be effective as a whole.
See, those pressure stats and things like that favor guys like Myles Garrett more than they do T.J. Watt. Micah Parsons is exceptionally disruptive, and he missed 4 games and had more charted pressures. I think I saw the stat today that when quarterbacks are not pressured, the passer rating across the league is 98.8. When they are pressured on a drop back, it's 58 point something. And Micah Parsons, just to use him as an example, got more quarterback pressures, or had a higher pressure rate, I should say, than T.J. Watt last year, and he missed 4 games. Myles Garrett is a more disruptive force. I think it's very close, but I would say Garrett is the slightly better player. That's not to knock Watt. I think we're talking about the 3 best in the business, but I might put him at least second and maybe third. No knock on him, but that's
Parsons
just how I feel about it.
is a lot younger too, though, Chris.
Well, Parsons is going to get more money than either of these guys. He's going to get $45 million a year, and then this whole thing where T.J. Watt reset the market is going to last about 30 minutes in NFL terms, and then we're going to wonder what the point was.
All right, well, we got to take a break. We got a jam-packed phone line. Give us a call when they open back up. 412-575-2600 is the number. Back in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back. Now our Xfinity tweet of the night. This is from the NFL on CBS. Sometimes being the younger brother pays off. You can see it right there. Career earnings, 12 years, $129.7 million. New extension for T.J. Watt, 3 years, $123 million. That's on top of his other $100 million contract. All right, so let's get right out to the phone lines. We got a jam-packed phone line. Like I said before, 412-575-2600 is the number. Don't forget to scan the QR code in the right-hand corner of the screen. Should the Steelers have re-signed T.J. Watt? That's the big question here today. Jerry, out in Franklin. How you doing, Jerry?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, this contract was excellent for Watt. I think it's a bad one for the Steelers. Would never have guaranteed $107 million or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That's ludicrous. I think by the time that he gets toward the end of this contract, the Steelers are going to look like the Cleveland Browns. I think this is just a bad contract for the Steelers.
You had to do it, though, Jerry. Chris agrees with you. You agree with Chris. I still think it works for both sides because, like I said, I think you can get out of it after 3 years if something happens.
Well, I would say you would indicate, Richie, that you had to do it. No, you didn't have to do it. You could have dangled him quietly in trade talks, and if somebody really wanted to give you a very good return for him, you could have dealt him if you had the gumption. You have 2 outside linebackers I think most people like. You have a guy in Jack Sawyer that people already seem high about, at least in principle, that you drafted that could give you more depth there at that position. I'm of the opinion that they should have shopped him before the 2024 season. Maybe not before 2023. That would have been extremely bold maybe on their part and would have been this weird sign that they were sort of punting, but certainly before last year. So they didn't have to get to this point, but they pretty much telegraphed it. Art Rooney II said that he saw Watt as a one-helmet guy. Mike Tomlin has repeatedly sort of put Watt on a pedestal above everybody else in this franchise as far as players go. So that wasn't just lip service. That's what they believe. And I do think unless the player here comes up big with 2 or 3 at least of the best seasons of his career, let's say at least 2 of the best seasons he's ever had, this contract's not going to look awesome. Like if he has 12 sacks next year, I would call that a disappointment unless they are 12 sacks and leads the league in pressures and quarterback hits and hurries, is disruptive on every play, but I have a hard time imagining that he would be able to thread that needle. I think he's got to make a ton of splash plays. And frankly, Rich, this is the other thing. He is supposed to be your standard bearer player. You are paying him $41 million a year now on this new deal. You've got to win a playoff game with that guy as your centerpiece.
You're right. Salary cap is going up. He made, 15% of the salary cap, the salary before the deal. Now it's 14%. So, I mean, if you're looking at it that way, it's not really changing what the Steelers really have to pay. Let's go out to Will in McKees Rocks. How you doing, Will?
Hey, guys. How are you tonight?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Hey, Chris, I really have to agree with you on this one. I thought I was going to be on the minority with this one, but I really think the Steelers dropped the ball with resigning him based on these points. Number one, really, really quickly, like you said, the age. Number two, just he hasn't had an injury-free season in a couple years. And I think we can plug somebody else in that's a little younger, that could do the job.
I mean, Will, it's really hard to replace a T.J. Watt. I don't know if they could do the job. You would have to maybe go out and draft someone next year and potentially hope. Everyone seems to agree with you, Chris, though. It doesn't even seem like the Steelers actually tried to shop this guy.
Well, no, Pony had a report, even though he wasn't on the air today. He tweeted something out to the effect that he had heard an AFC West team called the Steelers about Watt, and that we're told more or less, thanks but no thanks, we're not shopping him now. So it doesn't seem like that any of those ideas that we all floated in the media ever gained any traction whatsoever over there. I mean, so that spells it out for you, Rich. I mean, this is something they prioritize. They feel like the player being a one-helmet guy here is an important thing. That's fine and dandy. It's a lot easier to sell the idea of one-helmet guy matters when he's won big, won a title, won a playoff game, won anything outside of regular season games. And T.J. Watt hasn't. And by the way, his brother wasn't a one-helmet guy. He's a Houston Texans legend, but he finished his career in Arizona. I mean, I think that the one-helmet thing is kind of overrated. Franco Harris wasn't a one-helmet guy.
Let's go out to Kirk out in Manor. How you doing, Kirk?
Hey, how are you men doing tonight?
Good, thanks
hey,
for calling.
I'm telling you, I definitely think that the Steelers overpaid for a one-trick pony. You guys tell me what you think, and I appreciate it.
I mean, we both kind of disagree. I think it was a good deal for both sides. Chris thinks it was a good deal for Watt only. So, like I said,
Rich,
think
do you think they're going to utilize him differently? Do you think that they're going to blind him up and move him around and Swiss Army knife him?
They need to, because he spoke how many times? I was in the locker room, basically every day last year, and he talked about how teams are playing him differently. So I would imagine they're going to move him around and maybe get a little more creative with him. They have to, right?
Well, yeah, they have to. But, I mean, I will say, again, if you're talking Garrett and Parsons, that's one thing that those two defenses do well in Cleveland and in Dallas, and those two players have proven that they can do really well, and that is move around. Sometimes Garrett will just run up the A-gap and blitz right up the middle. Parsons will do the same thing. I think it is easier to defend Watt when you can just chip him, or sometimes even if you have a good right tackle, trust that guy to go one-on-one with him a decent amount of the snaps. He and they have to be a lot more creative, and if I were going to look for a positive in this, I would say that he is now going to be in camp, and they are going to at least be able to work on some of the things that hopefully they want to do to try to get him untracked and make him schematically a guy who can maybe be helped by the scheme and live up to the billing here that this $41 million a year salary is going to put on him.
And I think they will. Remember, he started his career on the other side. So let's go out to Bert and Ross Traver. How you doing, Bert?
Okay, guys, thanks. Yeah, I'm wondering if, him being in the last year of his contract didn't scare some teams off. Now that he's locked into 4 years, I think maybe they should try to trade him to Buffalo. He's the kind of guy that could put them over the top, and then they could have an extra first-round pick for the draft next year. In Pittsburgh, like Chris said, they have plenty of depth at outside. They need more defensive backs, maybe another.
Yeah, Bert, they're not trading him now, that's for sure. I don't think the 1 year on his contract scared anyone, because if you're going to trade for the guy, you're going to obviously get a contract in place before you trade. So I don't think that would have been an issue at all. I just don't think the Steelers were ever really considering trading him, and I don't think that they would have been blown away by anyone. You would have needed what, 2 first-round draft picks to maybe Omar to maybe think like, hey, maybe we should think about this.
I mean, and coming off of a 19-sack season in 2023, maybe with what he would have had at that point, the 24 season, the 25 season, 2 seasons left on his deal, he'd have been a full, year younger. He'd have been 29 going on 30, not 30 going on 31. Maybe you'd have got somebody to bite with a first and a second. Maybe you would have gotten a comparative king's ransom, but they waited, and essentially they tied their hands and said, no, we're going to play ball with this guy. Again, hope it ends up working out. Hope I'm proven wrong. Hope he plays great, and hope they win a playoff game, because right now he's got as many playoff wins with the Steelers as I do.
Hey, Chris, but we're always proven wrong on this show, right? Sometimes. Let's go out to Vic and Hazelwood. How you doing, Vic?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey.
Listen, the Steelers are out of their minds, and I hope somebody help them find it. T.J. Watt, I like him, but he's just not worth it. He had 1 sack in the last 5 games of last season. 1 tackle.
2 sacks, Vic.
Sack. Well,
Yeah.
2 sacks, okay. For 5 games.
But did nothing in the playoffs. Hey, Vic, I appreciate Vic, I appreciate the call. You know what? I'll be honest with you, Chris. I'm surprised all the negative phone calls we got today, 6 of them. And if you can look at our live poll question, if you want to scan the QR code, 52% of the viewers out there think that the Steelers should not have re-signed T.J. Watt. I thought fans would have been excited about this, but it seems like the majority is not.
Rich, it's just the compelling, overwhelming power of that Mulsey rhetoric. You can't stand up against it. I'm sorry. I can speak to the people directly. But if you'd like to know where the people who do like this deal are, they're on Twitter telling anybody who will listen that anyone that doesn't think this is the greatest thing ever for both sides is a capital H hater and doesn't know ball, blah, 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 blah.
I don't think it's the greatest thing ever. I can see positives on both sides. And like I said, I know it's 108 guaranteed, but I could see the Steelers getting out of this after 3 years. And I think that was the whole goal here, right?
Okay, here's 2, I think, almost immutable facts that come out of this deal. The onus, the risk, whatever you want to call it, has been assumed more by the Steelers with this deal, given Watt's age and recent dinged-up injury history, apparently. And T.J. Watt, a guy who's got a Defensive Player of the Year to his credit, who has a gajillion sacks, has a target on his back, I think, as far as production. Okay, you wanted the big deal. You want to be paid like the big dog on the block? Well, I better see 16, 17, 18 sacks, and you better be the best defensive player in the NFL that you and others seem to think you are for the next 2 to 3 years at least.
I think the line, I agree with you, has to be 15 sacks this year. All right, we're going to take a break. Back in a couple minutes.